Hey guys, video 13. This is probably going to, this is definitely going to be a 4-part series because it's too long. I mean, we'll be here for an hour. So I'm going to break it into 4 sections. This is entitled Location, 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 and why that matters. So there's 4 parts to this. There's brick and mortar, there's mobile, there's internet, and then there's a home-based business. The first one we're going to start with is brick and mortar. This is the most difficult one. This is like this is my least favorite kind of company to start from scratch, because where you put this is incredibly important, but not for the reason you think. You think it's important because there's traffic there. That's not important. What's important is, are your customers within 15 minutes of you? And are they going to feel safe coming to your business? That's what matters. Why? Because all of you that are relying on walk-in business, don't open up, please. Unless you're in a location like Fort Lauderdale Beach. Can you do it? Yes. Your outlay of cash is going to be huge. What do you think the rent is on the Strip in Fort Lauderdale Beach? For 1,000 square feet, I'm betting, I haven't been down there in a while, but for 1,000 square feet, I'm betting you're probably at about $5,000 to $6,000 a month. 1,000 square feet isn't enough to put really anything in. So you're about $5,000 to $6,000. So the first $5,000 to $6,000 you spend every single month, or you bring in every single month, is rent. There's $6,000 in profit gone right off the top. So right now, with other expenses, we've decided that we're going to spend $8,000 a month on our brick and mortar building, which is, listen, that I'm not, money, numbers have everything to do with what you're selling, okay? But if you're going to put $96,000 out of a year for your brick and mortar location, you better be positive that the first $10,000 in sales and profit that you do every month, that's where it's going to go. So there's $120,000 a year. Because when I say that, I know I talked about rent being lower, but that's not. You got CAM, you got utilities. You forget it. They get you for everything they possibly can in those places. So we find a place within 15 minutes of where we figure the majority of our customers are going to be coming to this location. Now, we're going to later on watch all of Kevin's videos on marketing, because I don't need to be where everybody is. I need to bring everybody to me. That's what I want to do. A company moves into a bad neighborhood, and they bring everyone to them. And people see that, and then the next guy opens up next to you, and he's like, people are coming here. You're the one who broke ground on that. Somewhere in every, what do they call that, beautification, or whatever it is, where they go into the ghettos and they turn it in so no one can afford to live there. That starts with one person. Always. Somebody buys a piece of property there that is not a product that's sold in that area, but it's close, and they bring people to them. And that's how business districts expand or are created. One person. So stop thinking that, like I have consulted for brick and mortar retail businesses. And that's where somebody walks in and gives you money. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're selling widgets or high-end kitchens, okay? This is somebody walking into your premise, where they see has got to be unbelievable. Everything else behind that, crap. Put people, we'll talk about that farther into this, but it's all about the front. All you care about is what people see. What can I do with this area that people see, okay? So you open up in places that don't have a lot of foot traffic, and you fail to bring people to you. So instead of figuring out how to bring people to you, what you do is you move. And where do you move? Your company is failing, and you move into a place where the rent is 2 and 3 times more than what you were paying, because somehow you've now created that you are going to create 2 to 3 more times business by the people walking by the street. No. I'm not saying you won't get people in, but you're gonna get way more tire kickers than you're gonna get people actually coming to your specific location to buy something. So stop thinking you need to be in the best location. You need to be in the cheapest location that you can possibly find to suit your business needs. That's it. Get rid of the illusion that you've created in your head about your business opening day that you've been waiting 40 years to do, and what that's all going to look like. And you've built your storeroom in your head. But the problem with that is you didn't have any money in your head, and you didn't have a budget in your head. So this is the most serious budget matter that you're going to deal with here, is your building overhead. That's consistent. It doesn't matter. Listen, COVID, building rents due, okay? 9/11, building rent was due. 2008, great collapse of the mortgage industry. Building rent was due, okay? That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. You still owe that nut every month. So keep that as low as you can. Second part of this, if you run a telemarketing operation and you make that place look fancy, you are an idiot. Literally an idiot. You're only doing this for your own ego. That's it. Because no one's ever going to see this. You can get class 3 real estate in the ghetto. What do you care? All you need to do is make sure your parking lot is safe. That's all you got to secure is your parking lot. Nobody's wandering around out of work in the ghetto. But you get a place in the ghetto and you set up shop in the cheapest building you can possibly find. Make sure it's got good internet. Make sure, you have good phone lines. You're looking for T1s and, all that stuff, all the cat stuff. You want to make sure that's all connected. And most of them nowadays are. So then you just stack your bodies. You stack as many people in there as you can possibly get. Telemarketers, they'll work under any circumstances, especially if you're not giving them cold leads. If you're giving them warm leads, oh yeah, they don't care. I'll work in a closet. When I was younger and I was telemarketing, I don't care. I'd be like in the boiler room. I'd be under the desk. I do not care. Just give me a phone and leads. That's what good telemarketers. That's all we care about. Smiling and dialing. Because it's a numbers game. The more people I call, the better chance I have of closing them. Because telemarketing closing rates are brutal. They're brutal, man. You're going to talk. People can be anything they want on the phone when they're talking to you. Face to face, there's a lot of things people would say to me on the phone. I don't think they'd say that if I was sitting across from them at their kitchen table. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. No one ever pissed me off as much in person as they have on the telephone when I was telemarketing. So, okay. So next, all right, about brick and mortar. Do not go into the place where you think your business is going to grow into. No. You go to the smallest place you possibly can. Keep your overhead as low as possible. If you're embarrassed by your building and no one's going there, don't tell anybody where it is. Don't bring your friends. Please don't show off. If this really literally, if you're going to play Monopoly for the optics and the illusion of what you look, you're going to lose, okay? Because eventually you're going to run into a serious player. There are many, many levels of Monopoly, just like baseball. There's T-ball, there's Little League, there's travel baseball, there's high school baseball, there's college baseball, there's the minors baseball, and there's the majors baseball. When you get into the majors of playing Monopoly, you can't make any mistakes because everyone you're playing with is as good or usually better than you. So, stop with your ego. This isn't about that. This is about staying open, keeping my doors open, getting revenue coming in. All right? So, you're all spending way too much on your brick and mortar. Now, let's say you've got to have something that clients when they come in, consultants. Okay, this is a good one for consultants. 90% of your work is on the road. You may occasionally have a client come to your office. So what do? Stop looking for a building. Please get an executive suite. And if you can't find an executive suite, find somebody that has empty office space in their existing office and rent a space from them. Make it nice. Find the nicest one, okay? But don't go out on your own outlay of cash for your office, because once again, your ROI, which means return on investment, is going to be very low. You could spend that same amount of money and rent an executive suite in an office building where they come to you and you share a secretary and you share all that stuff. Even if the costs are comparable, it's still a better way to go, because you have no outlay and you really have no long-term liability. If it doesn't work out, you can leave. It's not a hard lease to break, or generally they're month to month or whatever. However, you got to remember something. Breaking deals in commercial in corporations and stuff isn't like personal. It's a whole different thing. Doesn't mean there's not lawsuits that go on, and we're going to have a whole series on lawsuits. But so brick and mortar, this is the most difficult one, because before you open their doors, you're going to outlay a ton of cash. It's $8,000 a month for rent and CAM. They want $24,000 up front and a personal guarantee, because they're going to. I don't care about your corporation. All right, if you just opened up, they're not giving your corporation credit. Everything's personally tied to you. So in the beginning, when you're doing it and you're signing, your corporation's renting it, but you're personally signing for that. So if 10 months into it, you're out of money and you don't have money coming in, they're coming after you for that, because you had to personally sign it. Once you get your corporation going, they won't require that anymore. That's a whole nother thing, Dun & Bradstreet, all this other stuff. So I want you to understand, brick and mortar, find the cheapest location, safe, and bring your customers to you. And if you're not bringing customers to the place and you need the office space, like a telemarketing operation or similar, nobody cares what it looks like, literally. I had a partner one time, genius guy, old, came up. I mean, I'll tell a story about him down the road, but this man came up. Quit school at 6 years old, and went out and started selling newspapers for a nickel a piece on the streets of Toronto, and went on to build a multi-billion dollar, $1 million business, probably $60-70 million a year in revenue. He bought the ugliest building I've ever seen in my entire life. It looked like the book depository where Kennedy got shot. Oswald was shooting out of. It just was this ugly, really ugly, like library-looking building, and it was just a mess. I mean, like, you went in there and it was just not configured right. But there were all these crazy rooms, and you could put like 15 people in this room and 20 people in this room, and the place was a shithole. Bad pipes. I mean, back then, asbestos, probably all that shit. So we moved 50 people into this building and put them on the phones. And then we took the front of the building and we spent $250,000 to build offices, and we spent $75,000 just on the boardroom. So you walk into this building and you walk through the front door and it's spectacular. And we bring you into the boardroom and it's all oak and walnut and all that stuff. Okay, because my partner was an art collector. He was actually an art hoarder. So it was spectacular. It was beautiful. And then the whole rest of the building was a shithole. And so when we brought people in, big commercial contractors and government people, when we were doing government projects and stuff, we brought them into there. But they never got to go through the next set of doors into the pit. So just really, really think about what you're doing with brick and mortar, because it's not easy, man. It's possible, it's doable. You're gonna work a lot harder, because you got to keep the whole idea in success in this game is the least amount of cash outlay. I once built a corporation from zero to doing $1.5 million a year in business in 3 years with a $1,500 outlay, literally $1,500. From the minute I put in the $1,500, within 3 weeks it was profitable, and it never wasn't profitable. So you don't need that. Okay, what you need is a killer story. That's the whole trick to being successful in this life, is to sell. They used to say, you don't sell the steak, you sell the sizzle, okay? Which is partially true. There's another part to that they don't teach you, but the sizzle is your story. It's your story. It's the smell, it's the taste. It triggers stuff in people's brains and makes them want to. You have to make them feel warm and fuzzy, you know. And all the sales videos training we do down the road, I'm going to teach you how to do that for those of you who want to do it, because it's a great way to open up a company without having any money outlaid and no experience and no education whatsoever. Because sales is the one job that will hire anyone. So, peace. Next time we'll talk about mobile.